Guys, let me just say, I sincerely take back any complaints I had with this season because this show is definitely back on track. Hey guys, come over Supergirl, Season 2, Episode 21, Resist, and holy shit, one episode. I mean, the intro basically says it all. This, in every way, I think is the best episode this show has ever done. Just everything they did in this episode. Like I said, my main problem with this season, it's been great for the characters. It has not been so great for the plot. I feel like the plot has kind of been all over the place. They haven't really decided where they really were going to go. At one point, it seemed like Cadmus was going to be the villain. Then it seemed like the President was going to be the villain. And now Ray is the villain. I'm glad the show has stuck to that. But not only did we continue to get that here, we basically got every major plot thread we've got in the season, and it finally collided in this episode, and it was extremely well done. I mean, this episode was just incredible. I love what we got here. We really had everyone come together, and I really did love that, and it's going to be very hard for them to top this episode. I'm going to say that right now. Like, I know next week's the finale and everything, but it's going to be very hard for them to top things after this week. So we start up and we see Lena. She's in a bed and she finds Rhea stroking her hair, and Rhea claims that Supergirl tried to kill her. Like, that's why she's here. But Lena knows that Supergirl tried to save her, and I love that Lena is not falling for her tomfoolery. Like, she knows very well that Rhea is just trying to brainwash her, and she's trying to get her on her side. And the Daxamite insists that she did what she had to do for her people and for Lena as well. And she insists that Lena is a marvel meant for better things, and she's going to make a society worthy of Lena. She will do whatever she can to make sure that it is worthy of her. So Rhea explains together they will preside over the new world that they will create together. And that she's going to make sure that they do this together. So outside, the Daxamite spaceships bombard National City, and this was just a great way to start things off. Daxamite ground forces quell any resistance. Rhea announces that they have come to bring the Earthlings a better way, and Maggie is shooting her way out of the police station, not really knowing what to do, and Rhea says that she will be their queen, and they will be her subjects. So to Rhea, she's just taking over this world. I mean, she doesn't care. To her, this is just Daxam too, and she's doing everything in her power to make sure that does happen. And Maggie then calls Alex to the DO, confirms that she's okay, and Wynn confirms that the Daxamites are teleporting down all over the city, and Daxamites teleporting to the DO. Alex orders an evacuation. She then calls Supergirl, who is on her way, and when Alex realizes that there's not enough time, she heads outside to meet her foster sister, and she leaps off the balcony, and Supergirl does catch her. And we see a guard brings Mon-El to Rhea on the bridge, and she orders everyone out except for her son. And I love that Mon-El is still a part of this, because it seemed like for a while he was kind of just resounded to just being the sidekick, and they've really tried to figure out what to do with him, and I think what they do with him here, this is what we need to see with Mon-El moving forward, because they did have the really fun one-liners, but he also was very integral to the plot, and it wasn't just the Mon-El show either. Like, this was in every way an ensemble episode, and Rhea says that Earth will be beautiful when they're finished with it, and explains that they will build great momentum to their way of life. And Mon-El warns the Earthlings are stronger than she thinks, and, you know, they're not as disposable as she really feels they are, and Supergirl will defeat her. You know, she doesn't have as great as a chance as she thinks she does, and I love that he's straight up with her, and she tells Mon-El to future on their future, and she needs him to help unite the people of Daxam and Earth, and Rhea informs her son that she has made an excellent choice of a mate for him, that being Lena. So she wants him and Lena to mate, and it's really fucked up what she actually wants to do. But this was a really great way to start things off. Again, I love how integral Mon-El really is to the plot, and how much he is willing to bring down Rhea, and I think this really does help provide the main conflict of this episode. So the surviving DO agents retreat to the alien bar with a comatose John, and James comes in and explains the Daxamites are instituting their version of martial laws, and Supergirl explains that Lena and Mon-El are aboard the ship, and she's been unable to contact Superman. He's just not there, and we'll get more into that in a second, because we've heard that all season. The dumb, oh, he's not available, you know, we're not able to get him. Well, it actually does pay off in this episode, and I'll talk about why. But Maggie arrives, Alex hugs her, and we see Lillian comes in, and I was so happy to see Lillian. Not because, obviously, Lillian's associated with good, but because Lillian Luthor in general, I love what Brendan Strawn has done with this character, and I really feel that they haven't used her because they haven't known what the hell to do with her. But now that we have Rhea as our villain, we obviously are not going to have Lillian. I thought they were going to try to team these two up, but what they're doing with Lillian here is far more superior than I intended, and I am very willing to admit this wasn't the original intent. I definitely will say that. I think when they got Terry Hatcher on board, they're like, oh, we have to make her the villain. But this really did pay off quite well. Basically, she offers her services. She actually wants to help her, and admits she needs Supergirl's help, and they need hers. And it's not because Lillian is interested in possibly becoming a superhero. No, she obviously wants to save Lena, and Alex asks her where her father is, and Lillian admits she doesn't know. And she wants to take down their common enemy now that the alien invaders have come to claim their planet, and obviously she's very interested in that. She doesn't want to see, their planet destroyed, and they can either shoot her, or she can work together and save their loved ones. And obviously, they're very reluctant to do so after all the damage Lillian has put them through, literally, abusing these aliens and using them in sort of like a concentration camp-esque way. Obviously, they're very reluctant on her possibly helping them. It's definitely a very mixed decision what they really want to do here. So, when Alex and James refuse to work with her, Lily advises them not to let their pride get in the way of their objective, and she admits that she needs their help to get on board and asks them to work with her. And Alex isn't interested, tells her to leave, understandably, because of, what she did to Jeremiah. And I love that there wasn't a huge thing here. Like, obviously, you know why Alex isn't upset. That was planting the seed for why Alex has this disdain for Lillian and why she wants nothing to do with her. Because Lillian did, in fact, torture her father, and she made her father into what he is today. And Lillian tells Supergirl that she knows that they don't trust them, but she needs Supergirl to save Lena, and Supergirl tells her to go. Lillian gives her a phone to reach her with if she changes her mind, and, again, I love how persuasive she really is here. So, James and Alex then head back out on the streets. Supergirl asks Alex how they're going to do it. Like, how can they just trust Lillian? Like, you can tell that she's definitely up to it, but she doesn't really know how they're going to do that. So, Rhea orders her soldiers set up a blockade, and President Marsland then calls in, who we haven't seen her in a very long time. Sure, we saw a brief glimpse of her in Distant Sun, but again, this episode really proves what they were willing to do with her. And just like Lillian, I don't think this was the original intent, but it worked really well here. Basically, she demands that Rhea abandons her siege of National City, and when Rhea threatens to go after DC, Marsden says that she's heading there via Air Force One. So she's coming after her immediately, and she's not going to be able to take them down as easily as she thinks. And Wynn then picks up Marsden's transmission. They listen in as Marsden promises that the militaries of Earth will reunite against Rhea, and Rhea orders her to stand down. Marsden orders her to leave, and we then see the return of a character that we have been waiting for so long. We see the reemergence of Kat Grant on this show, and honestly, I forgot how empty the show is really without her and how much of a role she really does play here. But Calista Flocker really chews up all of her scenery in this scene, and you can tell that they were really saving all of their one-liners and everything. They were really leading up this. I'm very happy that she came back, because the show has definitely, she definitely has been missed, and especially this episode, it really does prove the show is better when she's there. So she asks if they both want to be testosterone-driven windbags, and I love that she's immediately saying, look, don't let the men control you here. Let's try to, work up against them. And Rhea is unimpressed. Kat tells her that her tiara is overkill, and she figures that she can meditate peace between both sides. But Rhea then ends the conversation abruptly. She knows what she wants to. She has her flagship open fire on Air Force One. Kat then falls out of the blasted open hatch, and Supergirl does catch her, and she lands him on the wreckage, and Marsden then crawls out of the wreckage in her true alien form, and I love this. I love it they found out that she was an alien, and they take Kat and Marsden to the bar, and the bar even gets, like, a little, side plot here. Obviously, we've been seeing this alien bar throughout the season. We actually get some stuff there, and Marsden goes to the restroom to freshen up, and Kat asks what they have planned, and Supergirl explains about the DEO, and Kat explains that she happened to be in DC when the Daxamites actually invaded, and Marsden was her RA at Radcliffe, and Kat hitched a ride with her, and she remembers seeing Marsden in her true form at their dorm, and tells the others that Marsden is the alien. She's completely fine with it because she's not going to hurt them. This is just who Marsden really is, and I love how accepting Kat really is. Like, she didn't even shrug a shoulder, just, oh, Marsden's an alien. And again, I don't think this was the original intent. I think they did want to use Marsden as a potential villain, but I'm glad that they used her here. I'm glad they at least used her. Linda Carter is so great as this character, and seeing her and Calista Flockhart and Brenda Strawn all team up together just was very satisfying, and really did feel like everything we've been leading up to has really been, everything we've been setting up has really been leading up to this, and I thought that was extremely well handled. So, Marsland comes down in her Trillian form. She changes to her human form, and I love Wynn's little reaction, like, oh, she's not an alien. Oh, yeah, she definitely is. I thought that was definitely really funny. Wynn was just on point this episode, and they really did use him quite well, too, and she assures them that she means them no harm. Kat assures that she loves her, scales and all, and Madeline Albright then calls Kat. She steps aside to take the call, and Marsland explains that she was born on a distant planet, and they were wiped out when invaders attacked their planet, and she asked them to keep her secret, and they do agree to it. Obviously, because it is a lot to process, but I like that they did agree to that, and she tells Alex that with John out of commission, Alex is the acting director of the DEO, and she orders her to break into the DEO, access the positronic cannon, and destroy the flagship. And when Supergirl points out they have 2 friends aborted, Marsden says the Daxamites have declared war on them. So they really have no choice. I mean, they have to go to extreme measures. They have literally declared war. They can't just, do this in a subdued manner. They have to go, it's go big or go home at this point. So Rhea then meets with Mon-El and Lena and tells Mon-El they can't make it hard or easy, but they will give her an heir. And again, which is just so fucked up. The fact that she wants these 2 together, literally going to give them an heir, and when Lena obviously objects, she wants nothing to do with this, Mon-El points out that his mother only needs their genetic materials, and she already has taken genetic samples from Lena, and the wedding will legitimize Lena in the eyes of the Daxamite people. So Lena, again, refuses, and Rhea tells her that she will destroy the Luthor's Family Children's Hospital unless Lena does cooperate, and I will say, it was definitely a solid threat. I will definitely say that. But I did like the way this episode really did try to show the good in Lena, like what she has done for the Luthor Children's Hospital, and all she has really contributed to that. So Rhea assures them that they will realize that they did make the right choice. This may seem wrong now, but further down the line, they will realize that this was the right thing to do. And again, in Rhea's eyes, this is definitely the right thing to do. This is something that she has wanted them to do from the beginning. She has them right where she needs them, and she doesn't really feel like she can, she is, that she can be stopped at any point. And that's something that's so great about Rhea in this episode, is that she does seem very unstoppable, and she does seem like a villain can be very hard to take down, and she's a lot more cunning and just villainous than I initially thought she would be. So Alex sends Marsden back to DC, and Supergirl wonders if she plans to go through with Marsden's orders, and her foster sister figures that John would tell them to blow up the ship, which, yeah, I think that is what he would tell them to do. Supergirl insists that there must be another way, and asks Alex what she would do if it was Maggie. If it was Maggie in danger and something bad were happening to her, what would she do here? And Alex reminds her that they have orders, and Supergirl goes out to get some air, and out in the alley, Supergirl finds Kat there, and we get what might be my favorite scene in this episode between Kat and Supergirl. Now look, Kat's pep talks have always been a staple of the show, and it hasn't really been a recurring theme of this season. She's been very much, relegated to the background because of her having, Calista Flockhart not being able to show on location and things like that, not wanting to make the commute. She had the 2 episodes. She had that really great speech in, the first episode where Kara realized she wanted to be a reporter. Ever since then, she hasn't really done anything. But this scene really did make up for those lack of pep talks that we've been waiting for. And we see out in the alley, Supergirl finds Kat there, and, instead of I love that their usual balcony exchange is actually substituted in this alley. I think it really does add to, this is the first time these 2 are working together and not separately, that they are side by side here. And Kat then thanks her for saving her life. She tells Supergirl that Wynn who told her who is in the flagship, and Supergirl wonders if Mars and Alex are right, and she has to think of the greater good. If she lets them blow up the flagship, then she'll lose her boyfriend and her best friend, and it would break her heart. So she's not just going to blow it up, obviously. There are innocent lives in there, and she wants to do what she can to protect them, obviously. So when Supergirl says she's selfish, Kat tells her that she left National City because she genuinely wasn't happy. She talks about her trip to the Himalayas and how natives there are happy about the littlest of things, and while there, she realized that the secret to happiness is, in fact, human connection. And Kat was missing the point. It's not about what you do, but who you, in fact, love. And she tells Supergirl there are 2 people that Supergirl loves trapped in an alien spaceship, and wanting to rescue them is everything. And Supergirl agrees, says she's missed getting Kat's advice, flies with the ship, and not only is this such a satisfying scene for Supergirl, but it's also such a great character progression for Kat. I mean, Kat was introduced in the show. We all hated her, honestly. I really was not a fan of Kat in the first few episodes of the show, but as the show went on, you started to see a much deeper side of her, and this really does show how far this character has come. She's not as self-involved as she used to be. She's not as callous as she used to be, and she's a lot more caring, and she just understands her a lot more than she initially did in the show, and I thought that was just extremely well handled. I love their exchange overall. I hope we see more of them, very soon, because this really does show how important this theme is to the show, how much it makes the show feel more complete, and really how Supergirl does need someone like Cat. I mean, sure, she is someone like Lena, but she really does need that adult mentor in her life, and Cat is definitely that mentor, and I really do hope they do use her throughout the rest of the show, because scenes like this really do show why we need Cat here full time. So, Supergirl then flies to where Lillian and Henshaw are hiding and asks how they got aboard the Daxamite ship, and she then takes them to where Alex and the others are hiding, and Alex insists that they can't trust Cadmus. Again, because Cadmus is harboring their father, she just doesn't feel they can pledge their allegiance to them. But Supergirl says that they have to try. Again, they have to go to extreme measures here, and Alex isn't really willing to take that extra step. But Lillian explains that when Henshaw broke into the fortress, he discovered that Superman has a Phantom Zone projector, and Henshaw figures that he can use it to get them onto the Daxamite spaceship, and they need Supergirl's access to the projector, and Alex points out they can't do it on their own. There's just no way, and Henshaw says that he can cybernetically interact with the Daxamite onboard computer system, and he can pass through undetected, and then Alex will get control of the positronic cannon at the DEO, and they then find Lena and Mon-El before she fires it at the ship, and one points out they'll need to distract Rhea, and Kat offers to help. She figures that it'll be dangerous, but she'll need Win. And Lillian then points out that the Daxamites are vulnerable to lead, and they head out knowing what they're about to do, and we get one of the best action scenes we've gotten on the show yet. So Henshaw admires the Daxamite technology that rendered John unconscious, and again, I like seeing this more heroic side of Henshaw. We've always kind of seen Henshaw as the decoy, as someone who just is there for a few fights with Supergirl and then he's kind of gone. Here, it really felt like he was a full-fledged character, and that he really was enjoying what they have done. Like, he is, in fact, a villain in every way. And when Win walks by, Henshaw grabs by the arm, then lets him go and actually leaves. And Alex then admits to Supergirl that she would do anything she could to rescue Maggie if she was on the ship, and tells her to get the prisoners before she has to open fire. And again, as reluctant as Alex really was, she's realizing that this is really the only thing they can do. They really have no choice but to get Lillian on board. And later at the fortress, Supergirl tells Lillian and Henshaw in, and as Henshaw activates the projector, Supergirl wonders a question that I think we've all kind of been wondering. Why did Lillian never tell Lena about her secret identity? Why'd she just skip over it? And Lillian figures that her daughter would eventually figure it out. And yeah, I think Lillian does have a point there. Lena would eventually put it together, and she'd hate Supergirl for lying. And I've talked about this before. I think ever since, we've gotten that friendship, it has seemed like they've been leading up to Kara revealing her identity to Supergirl, to Lena, I mean. And now I think that's going to happen more than ever, especially after this exchange. And she does warn them once it's over, they will go back to being enemies. And I love just that little line, because it does show that Lillian is still not a good, she's still not a good character. Like, she is still against them, and I like seeing that. I will definitely show that she wills to continue to sabotage against them, next season. So Henshaw teleports them to the Daxamite flagship, and on the flagship, a guard then escorts Lena to the bridge. Rhea tells her and Mon-El to join hands. They reluctantly do so, and Rhea then begins the wedding ceremony. So Kat and Win then go to CatCo, and Kat complains about James' free weights and sports paraphernalia in her office, and obviously she's just, she's mortified by what she sees. How could he do this to her office? And Win explains that James and Car are hiding, and Kat says that she's ready, and I like that she is focusing on the actual, mission here. Like, she's not distracted by her paraphernalia. Again, a perfect way to show her progression, showing that she is in fact focused on what actually does matter, and not just trivial things like, what James has done to her office. Obviously, it's on her mind, but it's not the main concern. And Supergirl, Lillian, and Henshaw then arrive in the flagship. Alex breaks in the DEO via the HVAC system, and she gives Marsland an update report. Maggie is with her, and they head for the cannon. Ray isn't finishing the ceremony when CatCo was on the air, and she tells the populace that they must resist the invaders with everything they've got. And it's this very long speech, but it was necessarily long. Like, it had to be a long speech. And she assures the people that Daxamites are conning them, and they have no idea who they're against. And Kat tells humans and aliens alike to band together, be superheroes, and fight back. And she finishes by telling Rhea that she has come to the wrong town. And Rhea orders a squadron CatCo to kill Kat, has the guards take Mon-El and Lena to their chamber. And again, I forgot how powerful Cat's speeches really were. But again, this really does trigger something within Rhea. At this point, she is willing to kill Cat, and guards then attack Supergirl. She fights her way through them. Henshaw then hawks the ship's computer, finds Lena's heat signature, he leads them to her, and Mon-El then orders the guards to lay down his arms, and when he refuses, Mon-El does attack him. Lena finally shoots the guard with his own gun and walks out. Again, really showing how heroic Lena really is and how she is willing to protect people rather than condemn them as her mother does. And Mon-El then quickly follows. Alex and Maggie then sneak into the main room. They open fire on the Daxamite guards, and Marsland tells Alex they expect her to fire the cannon when ready, and Alex does agree. And again, she's not really sure if she really wants to do this, but she's realizing she kind of has to go these crazy measures, and again, she really doesn't have much of a choice but to do so. So the doors come down, sealing off Mon-El and Lena. Lena hacks the machinery to reveal more guards. Supergirl knocks him out from behind. Lena's surprised that Lillian came with Supergirl of all people, and Henshaw then teleports himself and the Luthor's off. Supergirl realizes that Lillian left them to die. Like, she's willing to just let them die. And again, it shows that Lillian's not a hero. She is still a villain in every way. And in the fortress, Lillian tells Henshaw to disable the projector, and then calls to tell Alex that they're clear of the ship, and Lena tells Lillian to tell the projector back on, and Lillian tells her that Supergirl and Mon-El are aliens and will die with their others of their kind. You know, her hatred for aliens is still there, and it's not just going to go away. She obviously does have a very evil intent when it comes to them, and she's willing to risk their, to kill them if she has to. So Supergirl tells Mon-El that Wynn rigged a device so they could beam back if Lillian betrayed them, and the projector turns back on. Henshaw warns that he's not in control of himself before grabbing Lillian by the throat, and Supergirl tells Mon-El she's staying to try and get Rhea to surrender. She says what matters is that he's safe and kisses him. She doesn't really care if she takes down Rhea. She just wants to make sure that Mon-El is safe. Mon-El reluctantly teleports to the fortress, and Wynn then congratulates Cat just as the Daxamites guard in. They try to run, but the guards surround them. Guardian arrives, sprays them with lead dust to weaken them. He soon takes them down, and Cat then addresses Guardian as James, and I love that she just knew immediately that it was him. Like, even with the mask, he can't hide, and she casually points out that she can see his eyes through the armor slot, and that's just such a Cat thing, that she knows very well this is James. And the one thing is, if she knows it's James, how does she not put together that Supergirl is Kara? Well, actually, she did, and Kara obviously dissuaded that theory, but I feel like the reveal's coming. I really do, but Mon-El then arrives at the fortress, tells Alex that Supergirl is still on the flagship. Marsland orders Alex to fire and complete her mission, and Alex then reaches for the trigger. Supergirl reaches the bridge. She tells Rhea that it's over, and she talks about how when she was a child, she was told how terrible a place Daxam really was, and she didn't understand because they had families, and she advises Rhea to save her people while she can, and Rhea explains that she killed her husband when he opposed her, and Supergirl's speech means nothing to her. She doesn't care. I mean, nothing is getting in the way of what she wants, and she admits that it's over for Supergirl, and before Alex can hit the trigger, a blast of heat vision destroys the cannon. In a brilliant twist, we see Superman arise, but he's not on their side. He punches out Supergirl, clearly working for Rhea, and that is the way this episode ends. Really amazing stuff overall, but let's just get this episode and where we are headed into what is sure to be an epic finale. So, holy shit, guys. I mean, what an amazing episode this really was. There's so much to cover with this episode. Let's first talk about this brilliant twist, because like I said, yes, we had Superman in the first two episodes, and it was awesome. I think Tyler Hoechlin is a fantastic Superman. He's got the nerdy persona down. He's not ultra dark like Henry Cavill. I can actually take him seriously as Superman, and he's just overall having a great time. You can really tell he's having a really fun time as that character. So to take him in this direction, I thought was a really smart choice. Obviously, because we've gotten that argument, actually that stupid, excuse that, oh, he's just too busy. In this case, he really was. She couldn't locate him because he's not on their side. He clearly has been brainwashed by Rhea. He is working for Rhea, and he's willing to destroy his own cousin, which is just insane to think about, but it honestly makes a lot of sense. This is Supergirl, not Superman. Superman should be the villain. It makes perfect sense why he'd be the villain, and by having them go in this direction, again, it truly just feels like we've been crescendoing to this the entire season. Everything in this episode that we've been covering this season, we got some sort of payoff with, whether it be Lillian realizing where her loyalties lie. This episode strictly confirms that Lillian is only with Lena, and that's it. She has no sympathy for Kara. She has no sympathy for Mon-El. She has a little bit for Alex. Like, it does seem like she has a little bit for her, but that's only because Alex and Maggie are not aliens. Supergirl and Mon-El obviously are. And I like that she does know Supergirl's identity and that she's not telling Lena because she knows that Lena would hate her and she'd freak out if she did. And I really do feel we are getting to that reveal very soon. It just seems like it's inevitable that she's going to find out. After everything that we've been through with Lena, it would just kind of make sense if she did find out that Kara was in fact, Supergirl. It just kind of seems like something that she would put together by now. Just personally, it just seems to make a lot of sense to me. I mean, I love Lena on the show. I think the actress playing her is doing an incredible job. But if they're really going to make her main character, I don't think she's getting out of the season without finding out Kara's secret. It just seems like inevitable that that's where they're going. But we'll have to see really where that's going to go. But I love the way that was set up, that Lillian is still out there. This is not the end of Lillian. She is still going to take them out at some point, and she is still a secondary enemy. But she's only a secondary antagonist to a much bigger one, that of course being Rhea. And I love that the show is in fact sticking to that. I think it's a very smart choice for them to do that, because again, I think they've just been very confused of where they want the season to be. And the fact that they chose Rhea to be the villain is definitely very smart. Now, like I said, Rhea is not a villain that we necessarily do sympathize with, but her motivation is very, very clear. Clearly, she wants to get this, she wants to turn Earth into Daxam. Daxam is such a hated planet by both Supergirl and by Earth that she wants them to pay for it. She wants the humans to have to show some justice and bow down to her as queen, and obviously she's in over her head. But through what she's done, she kind of seems unstoppable. I mean, it really does seem like this plan might actually go her way. Think about it, she's got Superman on her side. She's got this plan with Mon-El and Lena that I know is not going to work, but she's going to continue to try to push them into it, whatever she do. She's got, she could possibly get Lillian on her side. I mean, there are so many ways that this can go, and I am very excited to see how this really is going to play out. I think that, again, Rhea clearly is unstoppable, and I don't know really what's going to happen there. Let's talk about Cat, because, oh my god, I forgot how much I loved this damn character. Again, first few episodes, I really was not a fan of her in Season 1, but I really did grow to love her as a character, and here I think she is truly transformed into an incredible character, and I really do love the transition that she has gone through. From this really callous, just really self-involved, selfish boss, who's just really always down on her clients and always, insulting them, to a much more respectable figure, someone who really Kara should look up to, and I really do love that interaction that these two have, and I think it is inevitable that Cat finds out she's Supergirl. I think, again, just like Leah's finding out, Cat's going to find out as well, especially if Cat is coming back, which, God, I hope she does. I know Calissa Flockhart's, it's difficult for her, but I really hope she comes back next season, because I have really missed her. I have not exactly been a fan of Snapper, as you guys know, but seeing her on this show, I think would really improve a lot of what's going on. So I think the season, has been great, but it definitely has been missing Cat, and this episode definitely does prove that the show needs her to be that anchor that guides Supergirl. There's only so many pep talks that Kara can have with Alex, and I think with Cat, it's just a little bit different. There's a different relationship there, and I'm interested in getting back into that, because I really have severely missed their relationship, and I'm glad to see that it is back in the show. I thought that was definitely really well done. Even what they did with Marsland in this episode I thought was very satisfying. Revealing that Marsland is an alien, but she means no harm. But she is still out there to help them if they need her. This is another ally that they can recruit at some point if they're going to need her. And it definitely does set up the idea that the president is going to be on their side. And by doing that, there's a lot better of a chance that Supergirl will get the public on her side. And, it seems like they are for the most part, but sometimes, they haven't. They have turned against her, and I think Marsden, knowing that she's an alien, she is going to get on her side, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing if Marsden does play a role in helping them take down Rhea. I can't wait to see the way that's going to go. I think that's going to be very interesting. As far as John goes, I don't know if John is going to wake up. Obviously, Henshaw doesn't really give a shit. He clearly is allied to Lillian, but it does seem like he's starting to turn his back on Lillian. He actually is sort of allying with them. So I don't really know where his loyalties lie at this point. I think we'll just have to see what really ends up happening there, but I think that definitely is going to be very interesting. Overall, guys, this is it. This is the Supergirl that we need every single fucking week. A show that's just confident, it knows what it wants to do. It combined every main element of the season together and just blended it perfectly. It made it seem like this was the intent from the start, even though I know deep down it wasn't. It didn't matter. We still got an extremely satisfying episode that we rarely do get on this show. The kind that I hope we get more of in the future. This is without a doubt the best episode we got from Supergirl. And guys, I am not playing around here. I am definitely giving Supergirl Season 2, Episode 21, Resist, a 5 out of 5 or an A+. This is it, guys. This is exactly what I've wanted all season long. We have had some fantastic character dynamics. We've had some great setups. But we haven't had that amazing payoff, and now we are getting that. And it is going to be very hard to see what ends up happening in that finale, because I doubt whatever happens in that finale is going to be as satisfying as this episode really was. If this was the finale, obviously I would not be fully satisfied, but we got what I wanted out of Lillian. We got what I wanted out of Marsland. We got the conclusion to a lot of storylines that we've been waiting for a long time. A lot of these little hanging threads that just seem to disappear finally did resurface in this episode, and I'm so happy the show did finally get back to that. I've complained about all season, and now I'm realizing that the intent in the end was to blend all these elements together in this fantastic way, that they really did collide into this fantastic episode. And again, whatever does come out of the finale, I doubt it's going to be as satisfying, as pleasing, and just as compelling and, you know, watchable and just thrilling as this episode really was. But overall, guys, this episode is Supergirl. And what you guys thought of this episode overall? Left your thoughts in it. I really love this episode, as you guys can tell. There's just so much I loved here. Everything I've been wanting the show to do, it finally did in this episode, and I really do hope it does pay off in the end. It really seems like we're heading to a very strong finale, and I really hope this finale does satisfy, because I'll be very disappointed if it doesn't, especially after an episode as strong as this. But I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for The Flash, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.